What is the requirements process?
There are many ways to develop the deliverables of a project. It is important that a procedure be established for each project that will ensure that $750,000 each year following. When the net cash flows total zero, we have reached the payback point. That is the point where the cash inflows have offset the cash outflows. The payback period justification method is another rough justification method. Before computers were readily available to project managers, this method was often used as the only justification method and was sufficient to justify many projects. The payback period is similar to the break-even point except that we are comparing the total cash outflows to the total cash inflows. In this method, all of the relevant cash flows need to be considered. In most projects there is at first an outflow of money before the revenues, the inflows of money, can occur. The payback period is the amount of time that goes by before the total cash inflows are equal to the total cash outflows. The payback method does not require us to compare two or more alternatives. With this method we need to know only the cash flows associated with this project. Suppose, as another example, that we are justifying the purchase of a machine that has a total cash outflow of $500,000. Let us say that the purchase of the new machine saves us $125,000 per year over the existing machine that we are using. This would be due to higher maintenance cost, since the older machine is slower and causes more scrap and rework. If the cost savings of the new machine allow us to lower the cost of the product and this, in turn, allows us to have a greater market share, we should include those cash flows as well. Let us say that the cash flows are summarized in Table 2.1. Notice that in Table 2.1 the cumulative cash flows go from negative to positive somewhere between the end of year 4 and the end of year 5. We could even interpolate and say that the payback period occurred 5% into the next year with the first positive cash flow. This would be 4 years and about 2 weeks. The payback period method has the advantage of resulting in a quantitative result that allows the ranking of this project with other projects according to their payback point. The other advantage of the payback method is that it allows for the independent estimation of the cash flows in and out for each time period. In the break-even method we assume that costs would continue as they had before. The major problem with the payback period and break-even point methods is that neither of them incorporates anything that happens after their respective justification points. If there were a sharp upturn in the cost of the new machine after the break-even point given in the example, or if there were smaller cash inflows in the payback point example, they would have no effect on either the break-even point or the payback point. This is rather short-sighted, and these two methods encourage projects that have high early returns on their investments. In other words, they encourage us to invest in cheap equipment or projects. This may be false. Table 2.1. Economy. If we actually continue to use the equipment or the results of the project longer, we may find that spending less in the beginning will have the effect of making us spend much more later in the project's life. To solve this problem, we must use a more sophisticated justification method. The internal rate of return on investment method of project justification considers nearly all of the things that are relevant to the project. It also adjusts the values of the money according to the time value of money. The time value of money is explained in Chapter 4, and we will not do it again here. This type of justification was rarely done in business until the advent of computers, and then it was seldom done because it was difficult to explain to some managers, particularly managers who had been brought up using simpler methods of project justification. The main advantage of this justification method is that it is a model that is a very close approximation to the actual money flows that the real project will have and very closely represents the real benefits to the company. Figure 2.3 shows the calculation that will be performed in determining the internal rate of return on investment, IRR. The equation shown is a summation. That is, the calculation shown is made for each time period. Figure 2.5, Internal Rate of Return. Calculation. What is the IRR of a project that has an investment of $1 million, including shipping and installation, and startup and cash flows at the ends of the years as follows? Figure 2.4, Example, Internal Rate of Return. All of the necessary deliverables of the project are found and that all unnecessary requirements are eliminated from the list of deliverables. All of the stakeholders of the project must be considered in the development of the deliverables list. The deliverables of the project can come from many different sources. The client or customer and the user will usually have the bulk of the specified deliverables, but special care must be taken to avoid overlooking deliverables because of the other stakeholders. The requirements process should identify at least 95% of the deliverables that will be required for the project. This will vary with the